Hello, and welcome to day 8 of our Facebook Live series, Money Fear is Real and How to Change That. Today's hot topic, so excited about this one, it's about strategies. And I'm calling it Change Your Crappy Inner Strategies to Finally Be Wealthy. So these strategies, we spoke a little bit about them yesterday. We're going to go into some nice details today. So excited for you guys. What is a strategy? A strategy is a process of how we do things. So it could be, sorry, I have to move my, there we go. Okay. So it's a process of how we do things. It's a predefined steps of how we do different subjects. So, for example, there's a different strategy for different types of things. So we have a strategy for buying, we have a strategy for love, we have a strategy for procrastination. That's always a fun one. We have a strategy for money, spirituality, personal growth, eating, health. We have all these different strategies, and within each of those categories, we have sub-strategies. So, for example, if you were to buy something, let's say if you're going to buy a piece of clothing, well, you have a certain set of steps that you will run the same way in the same sequence every time and come to a similar conclusion. That's called a strategy for buying clothing. You may have even a sub category of that for buying shoes. You may have a strategy about money, for example, how to make money, how to spend money, how to save money, how to purchase things, how to invest. There may be a different strategy for your money versus money that you've been lent. Like, there are just so many possibilities. It's really quite a lot. So I wanted to share with you today that strategies matter because they're your internal keys to success. It's about being effective. So you are ineffective at something if your strategy isn't working well. And strategies include all of your different senses. They're called submodalities, is a technical term, but they're senses, like something you see, something you hear, something you feel, something you touch, something you taste. What am I missing? Something you smell. Or here's the other one, something you say inside your head to yourself. It's that inner dialogue. What are you saying to yourself? So a good metaphor for a strategy is a recipe. So I'm sure many of us have cooked before. Maybe we've baked. I used to bake a lot when I was growing up. And the process of doing a recipe, there are ingredients, there are steps. And the steps, particularly in baking, you have to do them in a defined order. And if you don't, things are not going to turn out well. Same thing in life. You won't have the success that you are meant to have if your strategies are not working in your favor. So the way to get started with, we call it eliciting, but a not so fancy word is finding out what your strategies are you put the cook in the kitchen. So when you're trying to define the steps, you pretend like you're a cook and you're in the kitchen. What's the first thing you do? What's the second thing you do? What's the third thing you do? And you talk with your unconscious mind, because that can just really pop up the answers for you really fast. So, Ellen, welcome. Welcome, Ellen. Ellen is saying what she's saying. Oh, one of the best things about Olympian money is that she earned her money the old-fashioned way. Thank you, Ellen. She made a bunch of it by being a great executive, entrepreneur, and investor, and then she decided to teach this to others, as opposed to how some people are gurus but have never actually had the experience. Yeah, that's actually a very key distinction. Thank you, Ellen. Thank you for being here. And hi, James. Welcome. So we're talking about strategies, and the strategies are the steps. It's the process of how we do things. So I'm going to walk you through one of my strategies, just as an example. And I'm going to keep it kind of close to home. So it's let's say a buying strategy for a house. And we're going to compare that to a buying strategy for a piece of gum. We'll start with that one because that's simple. So if I want to buy a piece of gum, I don't even like gum, but if I were, then the first thought in my head is, oh, I want to choose something. And then I go to the store and then I pick a flavor that I like. And then I'm also actually probably before picking a flavor, I'm going to select one that doesn't have the artificial sugars in it. To other people that might not matter, but to me it does. And then I'm just going to buy it. Like there's no big decision criteria or hemming and hawing. No need to sleep over the decision about buying this pack of gum. I just buy it. Or another buying strategy for something that's familiar that you've bought before is you just know, like I like brand whatever, Wrigley Spearmint. That's my favorite one. I don't even think about it. I just go to the store, boom, I'm looking for the Wrigley Spearmint. There it is. I got it. I'm buying it. So that's a simple, very simple strategy. Simple strategies have very few steps and very uncomplicated steps. You're going to see how things can get really wonky in a hurry here. So then let's contrast that to a strategy of okay, I was going to do buying a house, but Ellen just gave me an idea. Ellen says, my lifetime favorite money strategy has been earn a bunch of it, feel bad, and give it away to others as fast as I can, and then complain because I don't have money. This is why I'm a student. Getting a lot of compliments. Thank you, Ellen, a student of Olympia's. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, yes, so that's a strategy for money. Ellen's strategy is she makes it, then she feels bad about having it, and so she gives it away to others. And then she has to go back out and make it again because she doesn't have enough for herself. Now that's a very top level strategy. When we actually do these strategy elicitations, as they're called, where we're extracting the steps of what we do and how we do it in the order that we do it, that's when we go really, really deep. So for every strategy, there is what's called a trigger. So how do you know it's time to bake the cake? How do you know it's time to make money? What are the signs? What are the signals? What are the circumstances for you that tell you that, oh, it's time to go make money, or it's time to make money good, or hey, it's time to feel bad about money. Time to give it away. I don't really want to keep that. That's like a hot potato. Let's get rid of that. And then boom, there I am. I'm back into struggle, back into survival mode, back into huge stress mode, lots of pressure. And that's actually a strategy within a strategy. Ooh, I didn't think we were going to go this deep today, but here we go. We're going down the rabbit hole, people. There are strategies that have their own strategies. So within that overall strategy we're talking about buying, about making money and what to do with the money when you make it, there's that sub-strategy of I don't feel good about money. So there's a whole process that you go through. So something's going to trigger that portion of it. What's the trigger that has me starting to feel bad about having it? Potentially, for some people it's not feeling worthy, not feeling good enough. Other people it's feeling like, oh, other people need it more than I do. Whatever the case is, and there's a whole set of strategies for that. Ooh, okay. This is like a whole college course of a short amount of time, but I wanted to tell you guys about this and share it with you. So I'm looking at my notes here to see what else do we need to talk about. Okay. So every strategy, it's a sequence of internal and external, what we call representations, which are those senses that we spoke about. The visual, audio, kinesthetic, audio digital is the self-talk. What are you saying to yourself? Those are the biggies. And then secondary to that are the smell and the taste. Not every strategy is going to have smell and taste. For example, money, probably not going to have a taste or a smell portion of that strategy. So what do we do here? We're going to work through one right now. I wish that we had the ability to be more interactive, but since we don't, we're going to pretend. And so we're each going to do a strategy for ourselves. And I'm going to walk you through it. You ready? First of all, does anybody have any questions about what a strategy is or how it works or what it does? Or if you have an idea about what strategy you want to do this exercise with for yourself, let me know about that. And we'll use that. Just go ahead and type that in the comments. And as you hear something that is like an aha moment or a realization for you, or just something you really like hearing or knowing, go ahead and type #gold for gold nugget. And then after that, share with us what's going on for you. All right, here we go. So let's do, okay, James, good question. It sounds like strategy is a thought pattern. Is that correct? Okay, it is a thought pattern, but it's more than that also. It's a series of steps. It's going to have a trigger, like a gun, boom. Somehow a trigger is going to happen and it's going to run this strategy. It's a process. So the definition of a strategy is it's a process. It's a sequence of steps that you are going to do in a predefined order. I'm going to give you another example. That's a very simple one, just so that you can really cement this in your head before we do it. Okay. So for me, for buying clothes, my top criteria for buying clothes is it has to be a soft fabric. I absolutely cannot stand scratchy fabrics, heavy fabrics, hard, stiff fabrics. I can't stand them, and they are not going to be on my body. Not going to happen. So first of all, in a buying strategy, something has to happen for me to be that trigger. And so the trigger is going to be, could be any number of things. And that's the other thing to know, is there could be a variety of triggers. So for example, here's a good example. So I'm going to be speaking on stage. So I need an outfit that's going to look great on stage, on me on stage. So that's the trigger for me. I have some kind of a need. That's the trigger. Then I like to go into a store. A lot of people like to buy online. For me, the only time I will buy clothing online is when I already know the brand and I already know that fabric. So my biggest criteria once I go into the store is, how does it feel? So this hand comes out right here, and my boyfriend makes so much fun of me. As I'm walking through a store, I'm touching, I'm doing this. I'm touching the racks of clothes because it has to meet that criteria. So for me, the first step, once I'm there at the store, is a kinesthetic step. It has to feel the way I want it to feel. Then it has to, depending on the situation, the secondary criteria for me could be either price, or it could be how does it make me look. If it's not, sometimes I flip that in my strategies. So let's just say it's price. So I look to see if it's in the price that I want to pay. And if it is, then I get to move on to the next step. And the next step would be, okay, I'm going to try that on and see how that looks on me. So I'm talking to myself. I'm going to try that on and see how that looks. Then as I try it on, that piece of clothing has to make me look awesome, or I'm not buying it. So that's another step in my process, in my strategy. Then, after we get the green light there, then I buy it. So the buying is the culmination of the steps. But at the very end, every successful strategy is going to end with a positive kinesthetic, which means I feel good about that. The very dysfunctional strategies, which a lot of us have that are running amok, do not end in a positive K. And it's like just putting more and more salt in the wound every time you run that strategy. It's just not good, not pleasant. So every strategy must end with a positive K. All right, is everybody with me? Looks like we have some more better understanding now. Okay, so think about a strategy. Let's do a making money strategy. That sounds like a good one for us. So I'm going to walk you through it. Actually, let me kind of tell you mine first. So, because that'll be very specific to this. And then I'm going to walk you through it so you'll be able to do yours very successfully. So for me to make money, the trigger is that I want to do good things in the world. And I also want to take care of myself. So it's a double trigger. But actually, I would say the first trigger is I need to take care of myself. I want to take care of myself. I want to be comfortable. I want to live in a nice place. I want to be able to live in a comfortable place, so that's part of my motivation. But the bigger driver of that motivation for making money is that I want to do good in the world. I want to help other people. I want to give back. Okay, so that's going to be the trigger of what starts it for me. So everybody write down in the comments, what is the first trigger for you? What is the trigger for you for making money? If you know what it is. But just kind of search and see if you know what that is. Yeah. So I know we have a little bit of a delay here. I apologize for that, but that is just the way it is here in Cyberland. So what is the trigger for you for your making money strategy? Okay, once you get that, once you know the trigger, then how do you know it's time to make money? That's the first step. Second step is, what is the very next thing that happens? Is it a thought, something you say to yourself? Is it something you feel? Is it like an internal feeling? Like, for example, it could be, oh my God, I have to pay rent. I got to do, like, wow, I got to get moving on this. Or it could be a thought of, I want to keep my business going. I want to help support my kids. Whatever it is, it could be anything. I'm just giving you some examples in case you're having a difficulty. Okay, Ellen has told us that her trigger is, I hate being uncomfortable. When I am uncomfortable, I try harder and focus more. There you go. So, Ellen, what you're doing is you are actually running a motivation strategy within a money strategy. So you're running your motivation strategy, which is, I got to be uncomfortable for me to go out and do this. That's what it's sounding like. Maybe it's not, but that's what I'm hearing here. And so when I put my feet to the fire, that's when I can motivate myself to go out and do this. For me, my former strategy was based on anger, because I grew up in a household where there was a lot of anger, and anger was our motivating strategy. So it's a motivating strategy for any of those other strategies or other categories, like had to be angry to make money. And my former strategy was, I don't really care what I do. I just have to make a lot of money, because that money is what's going to make me feel better, and it's going to provide me a sense of security. That is not the case now, rest assured, people. So that's our first step. We got the trigger. What's your first step now for you? Ask yourself, what is the very next thing that happens? After the trigger happens and you're starting to run that program, What is the next thing that happens? Is it something you see, something you say, something you hear, something you say to yourself? I'm going to give you guys a moment to type that in and share that with us. So for me, when I don't know, what my next move is in terms of making money, what I do know as part of my strategy is I want to make money by doing something positive, having a positive impact in the world. And I want to do, here's another step for me, it also needs to feel good to me. Like I have to enjoy doing that work or I'm not going to do it. Because for so many years, I did work that I didn't love. And that was based on a belief that I used to have that was not helping me. It was, you don't have to like what you do, you just have to do it. So there's another thing. I know we're getting really fancy here, but once I cleared that belief, then I could also change my strategy. So sometimes there's a little belief shift that needs to happen before we can clear a strategy. Sometimes we can go right into the strategy. Okay. Ellen, thank you for sharing. She says, yep, I have to put my feet on the fire. Until that happens, I'm not super motivated. Then step 2 thing is I feel the stress in my body. Okay, so that's it. So I think a couple of you were on the call yesterday. If you weren't on a call, you want to go back and listen to that one because we talked about, might have been the day before, 2 days ago, the one that talks about away from and toward motivations. So Ellen is sharing with us that she has what's called an away from motivation. She is more motivated to get herself out of this predicament that she has put herself in. She's more motivated by that than the motivation to actually make the money. So for her to make the money, she has to put herself down here and really drive herself to make herself want to do that. So probably something else deeper is going on. We're still going to continue with the strategy shift though. So, okay, after that step, what's the very next step that you do? Something you see, something you say, something you hear, or something you say to yourself. This was the internal self-talk. So let's see what it is for me. My next step would be, after I'm doing something I love, it would be, okay, hey, this is okay. This is a self-talk. It'd be, hey, let's do it. Let's have some fun. Let's go out and do that. I'd love to do that. And then I say to myself, who's the lucky duck who gets to work with me next? That's kind of my own little system. Not everybody has that. But you could say whatever you want if it's a saying, if it's something you're saying to yourself. Okay, so keep walking yourself through those steps. As you go through those steps, there will be a natural conclusion. So for this money-making strategy, we're only going to take it as far as when you start to make the money. So we're not going to go into after that. So once you start to make the money, then imagine you're there now at that step and ask yourself, how do I feel? Do I feel good? Do I feel great? Do I feel exhausted? Do I feel like, oh shit, I wish I didn't do that? Or that could have been easier. Like, what is the feeling after you've begun to make the money? Okay, I'm going to give you guys some time to come up with that. Okay, Ellen is sharing. Step 3 is the thing. I have to do something and I'm annoyed with myself that I put myself in this position. Yes, right. This is actually a very common strategy, Ellen. It's not a very pleasant one, that's for sure, but it is common. So, yeah, we're gonna wanna change this strategy. Okay, so the good news is that once we identify the strategy, which is what we're doing now, the next step is to change it. And once you change it in your unconscious mind, it's changed for good. Just like the strategy you have right now, You don't think about that. You don't go, oh, what am I going to do next? Not like we're breaking it down right now. You just run the strategy. It just happens. It's like background music. It just keeps going. But once you change it in that unconscious mind, which is how you change strategies, it's changed for good. And you will find yourself doing things differently, and you'll go, what just happened? What did I do that? What happened? It's really very, very cool. Okay, so I don't see anybody sharing how they feel once they get to the end of the strategy. But I'm going to give you a spoiler alert. If it doesn't end with a positive feeling, then that is one step that must be changed in the future after that. So it has to end in a positive K to be successful for you, to help you to do the things you need to do, to be who you are. Like, it just makes so much easier. Okay, Ellen has come up with her 4th step. Now, with all that crap underneath, I go out to do more intense prospecting. Yes, I mostly feel ashamed and guilty that with all my education, with all my talent, with all my skills, I have to run this stupid racket. Yeah, okay. Going down the rabbit hole with that strategy, but that is how dysfunctional strategies are. You tend to just keep like spiraling down. So, okay, so now we have identified our strategy. The next step is to change it. So the first thing to do, is everybody ready to change it? Change their strategy? If you're not, it's okay. If you want to just listen along, that's okay. You don't have to do this right now. But just know that this is the process. So ask your unconscious mind, is it okay for you to change this strategy now? And you must get a yes. If you get a no, then stay away from doing this. That means that there's something else that needs to be done first. Good. Ellen's getting a yes. I see that. Very good. Then the second question is your conscious mind also okay for having all the positive realizations of having done so? You must get a yes on that as well. Otherwise, you stop right here. And a different technique is needed. Then we can come back to this. Or maybe doing that other technique takes the strategy away because the strategy was built on that other belief or pattern that you had. Very good. So now, oh good, Ellen's very ready to change this. Yippee! So we asked the 2 questions. Now we're going to ask our conscious mind to go on vacation. Actually, we're going to send him or her on a vacation. So where does your conscious mind want to go? Many times it's to the beach. Other times it's to the mountains. It could be anywhere. It doesn't matter. Just somewhere that's away from you. That is very fun and pleasurable. So send that conscious mind there. And now we're working here directly with your unconscious mind. So we're going to walk through each one of the steps. So it's a little bit challenging to do in a group like this because I can't see your strategies written out. So I'm going to give you general guidelines. And if you have any specific questions after this, please reach out to me and I will help you get through your personal strategy because there's no need for you to be suffering from this. Okay, so you go through the steps, and as you go through the steps, you notice which ones are like not the best for you. So Ellen's steps, I don't remember them exactly, but the very first one was something like, oh crap, I need to do this. Or wait a minute, I'm looking back through the comments. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, I have to do something. And I'm annoyed with myself that I put myself in this position. Okay, so what you would do is you're going to change that step. You're literally just going to change it. Usually what I do is I write these out on a piece of paper or a whiteboard. And so I'll use a different color and I'll X the old one out and then I'll write the new one in. So I'm doing them sequentially. So for example, a good replacement for this step would be some an internal dialogue, because this is an internal dialogue of saying, wow, I get to do something. This is a great opportunity. This is really wonderful. I'm doing something that I love. Just anything along those lines, whatever feels right to you, is what you would replace that step with. Then you go on to your next steps. And some of the steps may be just fine. So, if you feel good about them and you feel like they're supporting you and they're healthy, then keep them. But if, if they're a little wonky, you just know that. Those are the ones you need to change. So then Ellen's next step is, now, with all the crap underneath me, I go out to do more intense prospecting, and then she feels ashamed, guilty. Okay. So at this juncture, for Ellen's strategy, she would want to change that. So, for example, you could change that to something like, okay, something just came to me. This is something that we did earlier. It's the Wonder Woman pose. So you put your hands on your hips, or actually on your waist. You stand up. Your feet are hip width apart, and you take 3 deep breaths in and out. 3 of them like that. And that starts to clear things out. And it starts to clear your mind, your body, and your heart, so you can start to think clear. So maybe you'd want to interject a step like that here, Ellen. And then that really helps you to focus also. And then maybe, like for Ellen here, since this is a kinesthetic, this is a feeling, you want to change the feeling. Usually you replace a like-minded submodality, so a kinesthetic with a kinesthetic, a visual with a visual. Doesn't always have to be that way, but that's what we're doing here. So change the feeling of ashamed and guilt. We're going to change it to something else. So Ellen, what would you like to feel instead of ashamed and guilt? Something that would really empower you, that would support you with all your brilliance and, yes, all your talents and skills. If you guys haven't met Ellen, she is amazing. Yeah. Okay, so Ellen's coming in. Good. Instead of I've got to, changing it to I get to, right? Okay, so then just go through the steps. And once you feel like you have those steps rewritten, literally rewritten, and ending in with that positive feeling. So when you get to that last step where you have been making money, you've started to make money, you want the very next step to be, I feel great. I feel awesome. I feel wonderful. Whatever it is for you. Okay, Ellen's saying, I want to feel proud and privileged. There you go. Boom. That's your replacement. Okay, so now we've identified the new strategy that we want to replace the old strategy. So now here's the fun. So what you're going to do is you're going to rerun that strategy in your mind. Maybe you've got it written out. If you've got it written out, you can just read it. Or if you've got it in your head, you can just go through the sequence of steps. And I don't know everybody's sequence, so I can't do that for you. But you're going to go from step 1. You're going to pretend like the strategy is running. Okay, boom, here's the trigger. I need some money. I want to make some money. Mama needs some new shoes. Maybe that's what you're thinking. Whatever that trigger is, here's the trigger. Now, run the strategy in your mind of the new strategy, the supportive strategy. Go ahead and run that. It's enough to just say it in your mind, feel it in your mind, whatever it is. Go through the steps, and with that positive kinesthetic of I feel great. And then, once you've done that, the very next step is to repeat that back consciously. So invite your conscious mind back from wherever he or she was to come back and join you, and imagine that here's the trigger again. And together, you and the conscious mind are now running the strategy. And the conscious mind goes, oh, that's new. That's different. That feels a lot better than the old one. Let's stay with that. So how does that feel differently for you guys? Or what do you notice that's different? What's the different feeling, the different visual, the different thought, the different sound, whatever it is for you, the different things that you're saying to yourself, I'd really love to know what is different for you. Most likely, it feels a lot easier. You're not getting that angst, that kind of feeling, or the oh shit kind of feeling, or the sad feeling. Like, mostly you're not getting those kind of feelings, but you're also like, maybe you're having motivation now. Maybe you're like, whoa, I'm ready. Let's go out. Let's do this thing. This is awesome. I get to go play with other people. That's kind of how I think too when I do prospecting or reaching out with people individually or even in a group is, wow, I get to go play with these people. Because as a kid, that was my favorite thing to do, was to go outside and play with my friends. And I grew up in Okinawa, Japan, so we had a lot of outdoors to do that. And so that's kind of how I think. I'm like, hey, I get to go play with these people. This is, how fun is that? We're playing. But you do whatever it is that works for you. Okay, Ellen is sharing. I love it. Thank you so much for sharing, Ellen. It's already different because I'm no longer annoyed and ashamed. I'm excited and kind of riled up, but in a good way. That's what you want. That's called motivation. Intrinsic motivation is what that is. So you guys have done great. If, like I said, if there's anything that you need help with on this particular strategy steps, please let me know. And I'd be happy to help you with that. And please let me know how things are changing for you. Like, what's different in this whole series? Like, what is happening for you? I am dying to know. And I'm looking up what our next subject is going to be for tomorrow. Tomorrow, we are going to do recalibrate your money body set. So this is how your body is affecting your money and how it's affecting your mindset and your heart set and holding you back from making more money. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. It's going to be 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Once again, just like today, that's our new time. And I wish you guys so well. If you want to know what your money blocks are, you can go to mymoneyblocks.com. And there's a short 2-minute quiz. You can fill it out right there. It will send you an email right away and share with you your blocks. So it's very insightful. All right. Thank you guys so much. Really, really appreciate you. Take care. Bye-bye.